Hello booktube, hello booktube, well hello booktube. My name is Juan, I am just one reader, your favorite Mexican booktuber who reads in English and occasionally bursts into song and dance. Today I am crazy and I just wanted to give you some of my also crazy thoughts on Jade City by Fonda Lee. Jade City is the first book in the Green Bone saga, which is this like extremely popular, hyped up urban fantasy trilogy. It's Jade City, Jade War, and finally Jade Legacy. Now, everyone says that Jade Legacy Book 3 is like bananas good, but the first two books are just kind of really good. Some people even say that they are middle of the road, but I haven't really seen any like properly negative reviews, and therefore here I am, yours truly, your most faithful servant, because I only live to serve and to oblige. This doesn't mean to say that this is a negative review. Actually, I don't even consider my videos like proper reviews. Honestly, this is more like a rant. And the reason why I don't feel like this video that you're watching right now is a review is because, you know, I know what a good review is. It requires a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of plotting and writing it down and structuring and really putting a lot of dedication and time and thought into it. And this is not what I have done for this particular video, so this is not really a review. This is more like a ranty just expression of my thoughts and disappointment, really, because that's really what I felt with Jade City. Now, in the end, I gave Jade City a solid 3-star rating on Goodreads. That means it's a book that I kind of enjoyed, but ultimately, am I satisfied? No. Am I thrilled? No. Am I like ready for the second and third books in the series? I really don't think so. And that's really why I am making this video, to ask you for your help. I am seeking your help. By the end of this video, if you think that the reasons that I will mention for not loving Jade City are still going to be there for Jade War and maybe even Jade Legacy, let me know, because I really want to know if these books are worth my time. And that sounds very like I don't know, it sounds awful. It sounds like I'm coming from a very like superior place, like, oh, all these books going to be worth my time. But what I mean is, you know, are they going to be worth the investment? Because, you know, we all have those kinds of books. I feel like this is something that happens to you probably as well, right? Like you're just wondering. I think it's natural to wonder, are the problems that I had with this book still going to, you know, be there in the following installments in the series? Because if they will be there, I don't know if I will continue the series. So, Jade City is a book that I decided to read because, first of all, it's incredibly popular, and I do believe that if things are popular, there's probably good reasons for popularity. That doesn't mean that every single popular thing is good for everyone. However, I do think it's worth checking those things out. Also, people have said usually that these books are great because of, you know, the character explorations and the, you know, incredible character dynamics, and like, you know, the character aspect of the books is really strong. Also, a lot of readers have mentioned the fantasy elements to be really great and really unique. Also, like, there's this kind of Godfather mafia, Tony Soprano kind of element to it, of course, because it is urban fantasy. It takes place in a city setting, and there's like this gang dynamic going on. So I thought it was, you know, an interesting enough premise to, you know, go into Jade City. So let me start with the things that I actually enjoyed and that I applaud this book for. First of all, I do think that some of the characters are interesting enough. However, already going into the negatives, I don't think any of the characters, however interesting they could be potentially, I don't think any of them really clicked with me at this particular stage of the trilogy. Like in Jade City, and this is only talking about Jade City because it's the only book that I have read thus far, and probably the only one I will read, I don't really feel anything about for these characters or regarding these characters. I don't feel anything particularly strong or strong enough to really connect and feel for them. The idea of these characters, some of them, is really interesting, but I just never really felt, I always felt like there was something missing from these characters. I do get the idea of what the dynamic for the characters is, I guess, but I don't know. I'm just not a fan yet. Another good thing about this is the uniqueness in terms of the urban setting, the city. It's kind of an Asian, like an amalgamation of different Asian settings. And it's kind of unique. It's not particular. I didn't feel like it was like really fleshed out. I never felt like this book was very atmospheric at all. Actually, I think that it could have been set in New York City or in any point in time or place, and I never had this kind of profound, fleshed out, textured sense of time and place setting, you know? And that doesn't mean that, you know, I don't know if it was because it was not written properly, or I just never felt that atmosphere. You know, it might have been a personal thing, but to me, this just felt like a very generic Asian, like high technology, kind of slightly futuristic thing. And the same thing for the fantasy elements. On the positive side, I do like the idea of using jade and using this kind of like precious stone as a kind of you know, something that you use to enhance certain abilities. I do like the concept. I like that it never really got like super scientific, like borderline Brandon Sanderson, which I don't like those kinds of harsh magic systems, or hard magic systems rather, I should say. It wasn't that. So I liked that it was more of a soft magic system with Jade. However, now stepping into the negatives, I never really felt like the fantasy was like really there. Like this really felt more ultimately like a gang mafia story. Some of the characters were better fleshed out and more interestingly explored than others. And yeah, now I'm going to go just completely into the negatives, or my negative thoughts on Jade City. First and foremost, I think this book has two really big flaws, like the fatal flaws of the book. One of them is the writing style. The writing style feels kind of jarring and kind of clunky. It never felt like well written to me, honestly. Some parts of it felt very descriptive, not in the right way, like giving you a sense of atmosphere and all of those things, but it just felt like filled with unnecessary adjectives and adverbs and different phrases and clauses that, you know, it felt like it was cluttered, like cluttered writing. But really the biggest flaw in the writing was it always felt very matter of fact. And that's what I said in my Goodreads review, which was very harsh. Now that I think of it, I think it was kind of a cruel review. I said that the writing feels so matter of fact. It felt so dry, like, and by dry I mean completely lacking in vitality. It felt just incredibly simple, declarative, matter of fact, presenting information. And I don't like those writing styles. I like writing styles that feel alive. I like writing styles that feel, this is going to sound really bad, but like stylistic. I really want to feel an author's style, or you can call it narrative voice or narrative flair. That kind of musicality that I always say about, the books that I love the most, they all have that kind of musical rhythm or cadence. And this just felt like very, very matter-of-fact, declarative writing. Nothing wrong with that, but nothing good about that either. And the second fatal flaw in this book, which really was, I think, the clumsiest part of this book, was the exposition is so badly done. Oh my god. There were big chunks of this book where I just felt like I was reading a history book for no reason. Like, I think good exposition or good world building should be always integrated into the narrative, into the characters, into the setting. Like, it's always in service of storytelling. Because, that's me. That's me, Juan, this Mexican dude here, just one reader. That's my opinion. What I love the most in fiction, in general, is storytelling. And here, I really had the feeling all the time that Fonda Lee was serving the world and the plot more than the storytelling itself. I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe that sounds a little jumbled the way that I said it, but I felt like it was so exposition heavy and ham-fisted and info dumpy, but in weird, clumsy, clunky, dry ways that I never felt like it was integrated enough into the story. And it created this kind of distance with the storytelling. I just felt like the storytelling was not my cup of tea in general. So those are my big problems with this book, and they are only two real problems, like the fatal flaws, the storytelling, the exposition, and all of those things that I just mentioned, and the writing style that felt very matter-of-fact and declarative. Also, I will say this book really goes very deeply into what these two families or these two clans are doing to one another. And if you're not into that kind of dynamic, like they did this to us, now we are going to do this to them, and this kind of revenge, war kind of thing. If you're not really that interested in that plot, this book really has little else to offer, in my humble opinion. This is just my opinion, okay? Don't burn me at the stake, or do burn me at the stake. I don't care. This is the internet. We can all have different opinions. That's really what the internet is for. But yeah, I've never really liked those kinds of plots. And I never thought this would be such a big part of this book, and it was. So in the end, I am giving it 3 stars. I don't think it deserves less, but I certainly don't think it deserves the hype. Especially, from fantasy booktubers that are like applauding this book for the greatest world building of all time. Like, really? Do you really think this is the best world building of all time, honey? The Artemis Fowl books, the Percy Jackson middle grade series. There are some Roald Dahl books, like for middle grade audiences, that have a better sense of world building, because it's great world building, great sense of atmosphere, but it's integrated into the storytelling. This book, in my opinion, really did not do that properly. Also, a lot of fantasy booktubers are applauding this book for, oh, the characters, oh my god, the most amazing character, oh my god, when this character died, I wanted to die with them. Really, honey? Really? Are you kidding me right now? Have you read the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud, which is a series of young adult fantasy novels? I actually have them right here. What these books accomplish in terms of character, oh my god, honey, you have seen nothing. And that's just to give you an example. Like, I don't think this did anything particularly well. It didn't suck. Like, I never felt like, oh my god, this book sucks, I want to die, I want to burn it. No, I never had that reaction. But it was just like, oh yeah, very matter-of-factly written. Okay, I guess I should care about this. Okay. It's very, very obvious that Fonda Lee wants me to care about that character. Why? Because yes. Okay, so I guess this is interesting. Why? Because it is. And so that's just how I felt for all 493 pages, no, 95 pages of this book. Not good enough in my opinion. I think there's a lot of really great fantasy out there. Like every single way that you look, there's better fantasy out there. Now, finally, I do think this book is great for some people, and I want to acknowledge that in my videos as well. This book was not for me, but it might be for you. If you enjoy Brandon Sanderson's writing, you will probably love this, because this is like the evolution of Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson is terrible, in my humble opinion. He does, like, oh my god, he's the worst, in my opinion. And Fonda Lee, to me, sounds like a much more refined, sophisticated version of what Brandon Sander does. And so even though I'm not a big fan of this particular book, I can see that this will be like, you know, like Citizen Kane for some people, and that's perfectly wonderful. I'm really glad that these books exist, because, you know, there's readers for all kinds of books and books for all kinds of readers, and I want to celebrate that here on my channel. So 3 stars, and now this is when I look to you and I ask you, should I continue with Jade War and Jade Legacy? Are those problems that I mentioned, the fatal flaws, are they still there? Are they there, present, but slightly worked through? Do they feel more atmospheric? Do they feel more magical, the books? Or should I just go and start something else by another fantasy author? I hope this video didn't make you angry, but if it did, well, I just want to celebrate different types of fiction in my channel, particularly fantasy, because that's what I enjoy reading the most. But I just want to provide my opinion, my voice, and you are completely free to hate me. That's completely fine. Thanks for watching, and I don't know, I guess in a couple of weeks I will have made up my mind. Should I continue the Green Bubble saga, or is it just not for me? Thanks for watching. I am Josh One Reader. I will see you on the next salty video.